É um prazer estar aqui participando como coordenador da mesa do segundo encontro latino-americano de ciência do esporte, educação física e dança. Bom, a nossa mesa vai tratar do tema Perspectiva da Educação Física Escolar, composta pelo professor doutor Branislav Antala, que leciona na Comenius University da Eslováquia e é professor visitante da Universidade de Zagreb, Croácia. É vice-presidente da FIEP World International, presidente da FIEP Europa, integra a diretoria executiva do ICSSPE, membro honorário do Indian Council of Sport Science and Physical Education na Eslováquia, integra o currículo Council of Ministry of Education, Science and Research e é presidente da Comissão Nacional de Educação Física. Tem como área de concentração Pedagogia da Educação Física, Avaliação da Educação Física e Gestão do Esporte. Professor Dr. Marc-Pierre Clot possui doutorado em Educação Física pela Universidade de Liège, onde leciona atualmente. É presidente da IESEP, membro do Comitê Internacional de Pedagogia do Esporte e secretário-geral da ARES. Atua como pedagogo com a pedagogia do esporte e gestão do esporte. Apresentando a dinâmica da nossa mesa, cada integrante terá de 15 a 20 minutos para a explanação. Após esse tempo, nós abriremos para perguntas e essas perguntas devem ser feitas por escrito, encaminhadas à mesa e serão passadas aos palestrantes. Então, para dar início ao nosso trabalho, passar a palavra ao professor Branislav Antala.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. I'm honored to be with you and to have opportunity to present my topic, Perspectives of Physical Education in Europe. Secondly, I would like to congratulate the organizing committee. They did a very good, excellent job with preparation and realization of this Congress. Thirdly, my native language is Slovak language. I come from Slovakia, in the middle of Europe, and if I will speak in Slovak language, only one person will understand, and this will be me. Like I will use English language, but I am not excellent speaking man in English language. My topic is perspective of physical education in Europe. We have many problems in nowadays world. Immigration, lack of food, lack of drinking water, corruption, drugs, pollution, terrorism, and so on. In last 25-30 years is coming next problem, global problem, and this is sedentary lifestyle and physical inactivity of people. Physical inactivity of people. In few generations ago, physical activity was regular part of daily life. Today, physical inactivity seems as a normal. People have stopped moving. Please video. With music. Song. I need song. It's not.
Need this. I'm already late.
Somebody will come. Anybody out there?
Do you have a phone?
No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello! There are two people stuck on an escalator and we need help. Now, would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, enough left to do.
It's a problem. What to do? Problem is that it's physical inactivity is not only a practice problem, but it is in the mind of people. Sometimes people lose to find movement and movement activity to resolve only basic life situation like this one was. During the last 25-30 years was many changes in European country and many indicator was changed related to physical education, to physical activity. Some of them decreased and some of them increased. I would like to show only a few examples. Decreased. For example, in last period, decreased number of minutes or number of lessons for physical education at school, especially from period 2000-2007. Now it's better because it's stable. Decreased physical fitness and motor performance of young European population. It's so many different researches. I present only three. One of Slovakia, one of Slovenia, one of Italy, that confirmed this not positive status. But not only motor performance of general population decreased, but also decreased motor performance of sport practicing children, sport talented children, especially in Eastern Europe. Only one example from Slovakia. Here is comparison of motor tests, selected motor tests for 1986 and 2010. And you can see in 4 tests, motor performance decreased and 2 tests is stable. No increasement. Next decreasement we can find in applicants for study physical education and sport in universities. Decreased motor performance. Only one example from my faculty. Here is result of good test from 2093 to 2013. 20 years. 20 years evolution, you can see slowly decreased motor performance of applicants for study of our university, physical education and sport. Decreased involvement in physical activity of children in general in European countries. But it's some indicators were increased. Increased extremely childhood obesity and overweight, and many health problems related to children. Increased, for example, human and economic cost to solve this problem with physical inactivity of people. Here is one table from project Designed to Move. This is project realized by XP, Nike, and American Association for Sport Medicine. What we can do with it, with this problem of inactivity, physical inactivity of children and youth? We have 2 solutions, two very simple solutions. First is accept situation. Second is to find some solution to war against this problem. In European country, we have many good examples, many good projects, only few. For example, Vivo in France, Kinder in Geschude Kommune, Germany, Championi Pintre Noi in Romania, and so on. It is a good example how to war against this physical inactivity of children and people. I would like to show you 3 video clips, 3 examples of good practices. First, 2 comes from Europe and 1/3 comes from outside of Europe, from the United States. First will be example from my country, from Slovakia. We made one curriculum reform in last 2-3 years, and we oriented all curriculum to health problem and health relationship with physical activity. Please, video. Second one, a third, will be example of necessity to receive for physical education support for politics and high administration. I would like to show one example from Ireland, Raleigh. In February this year was opened UNESCO Chair for Adapted Physical Activity with big support of President of Ireland, Michael V. Higgins. He participated in opening ceremony. This is a short video from this event. Okay, I feel like this is okay now. Last video comes from United States. In United States was opened a very interesting project, Let's Move. Let's Move at School. A sub-advisor of this project is wife of President Obama, Michelle Obama. I would like to show you this maybe a little bit longer video clip, but very interesting video clip for promotion this activity. I would like to ask Barbara if it's possible to translate also what Michelle Obama will say. It will be very good to understand what she said because it is very important.
Before coming to the White House, the president and I lived lives like most families. 2 working parents, busy, trying to maintain some balance, picking kids up from school, trying to get things done at work, just too busy, not enough time. And what I found myself doing was probably making up for it and being unable to cook a good meal for my kids, going to fast food a little more than I'd like, ordering pizza. And I started to see the effects on my family, particularly my kids. got to the point where our pediatrician basically said, you may want to make some changes. So started making those changes, short, easy changes, but they led to some really good results. So I wanted to bring the lessons that I learned to the White House. This led to our new initiative, Let's Move. Let's Move is a nationwide initiative that basically focuses on 4 key components. First, we want to improve the information and the tools that parents need to make the changes that are desired in their families. The second is that we have to improve the quality of food in our schools. That's where kids are eating many of their meals, and we have to do a better job making sure that that food is quality. Third, we need to improve access and affordability of healthy foods. We have to eliminate food deserts in this country, and we need to do it now. And finally, we have to increase physical education for our kids. We need to get them moving. And we're going to be relying a lot on major sports organizations to help us achieve that goal. And we're very excited about that. Let's Move is going to take families out of their isolation and give them the nationwide support that they need in a whole range of industries to get their kids on track to live healthier lives, to eat right, to get more exercise, and to be ready to face the challenges of the future.
Michelle Obama is a very good promoter of physical activity, actually, in the United States, maybe the best, by this project, Let's Move at School. Okay, I will follow to some conclusion or recommendation for better physical education. But in the beginning, we have to say that school in the last 50 years has changed a lot of. If you see in this picture, it's very nice picture because it's clearly said how position of teacher, children and parents are changing in the last 50 years. If you look this day in 1961, this very simple question, what are these bad results oriented to children and today oriented to teachers? Here is small winner of situation. A lot has changed in physical activities in last period, in last 20, 30 years. When I was young, and I said, I am going to play football. My mom knows that I am going outside of my home, in grass, in terrain, and play. Today, if my son said me, I am going to play the football, I am not sure if he is going outside because he is sitting and he's playing game football in television. A lot has changed in the last 20, 30 years in the life in general. People have changed and technical instruments are changed. I would like to present only few general ideas for future perspective of European Union. First, value education, including value physical education. It means physical education oriented not only of development of motor skills, motor performance, but in general of personality, full personality of children. Compulsory physical education. Physical education in European Union have to stay or remain compulsory part of all educational system, from kindergarten to university, including elementary and primary and elementary school, secondary school. Inclusive physical education. Physical education have to be offered to all children, including children with disabilities and children with special needs. Quality physical education. It is a very important issue today, but we will have a presentation of Walter Hu about this topic. Healthy physical education. It means to create a relation between health, movement activity, and physical education in school. Allocation time. In 2007, European Commission recommended to member states to have 3 physical education lessons per week in all classes. Minimum 45 minutes per one lesson. Variability of content of physical education. Not only traditional sport and games, but new games, new activity, what is interesting to children and young people. Physical education and out of school physical activity. It means sometimes it's not relationship between what we teach in school and what children need for free time and for voluntary physical activity. Physical education and new technology. Sometimes PE teacher looks at new technology as their enemies, but technology can help PE teacher to progress in their work. Physical education, teacher education. We need to change many things in this topic, but it will be topic of Marcus, who will be speak after me. Lifelong learning in physical education. This is very important. PE teachers don't need to stay in one place. They have to receive new knowledge, new experiences, and one way is to lifelong learning or lifelong education. Social, political, and legal support for physical education and community networks. I showed 2 examples, 2 good examples how can work good. And last information about last idea is permanent monitoring of physical education. We need scientific researches in this area because we need scientific data. Without scientific data, it's so complicated to influence politics, so complicated to find way for future. All this idea finally goes to this topic is quality of life. In European country, European citizens like life, like enjoy life. But without physical education, without physical activity, in daily program, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's very important to find and to explain relationship between physical activity and quality of life and understand it. Ok. Obrigado pela sua atenção. But I have 1 minute more. I have something to add. Yes? Do you remember my first video clip? 2 people are stopping in escalator and saying, help, we need somebody. Do you remember? I would like to know how it finished. Yes or not? Yes, okay, I will show you.
Hello? Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second. He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.
Walking down the sidewalk, kicking my feet as I move to the music, step to the beat. I want today, cancel all my plans and I step right.
Okay. Obrigado, agradecer ao professor Bradislav pela fala e passar a palavra ao professor Mark Berg.
Um minuto, por gentileza de atenção. O proprietário do Fiat Palio Prata, placa OQM 2237, caso se encontre no salão, procurar a garagem com urgência. Seu carro está travando a passagem dos demais carros. Fiat Palio Prata, placa OQM 2237. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure for me to be here this morning and to share the floor with my friend Branislav. I would like first thank the organizer, but also the translator. We don't see her, but she is doing a very good work since the beginning of the week. It's important in an international congress to have people who are able to translate, because the message are important and we need to have this chance to understand us. Well, Branislav proposed a speech about physical activity, physical education, and the content and the organization. He also mentioned that it was important to do something to fight against sedentariness, inactivity. Now, I'll try to share with you some ideas about how to deal with this situation. And to deal with this situation, we need to prepare physical educators in order to help them to be effective in this way. I'll speak about teacher physical education or education. Okay, let's start. There is some information about my university in Belgium and about ISF, an international association working on research on sport pedagogy. During my presentation, I propose you to answer to 3 questions. The first one is why the representation about physical activity are so important, mainly in physical education. Second question, do the physical education teacher know these representations? And then, according to the answer, the third question will be how to deal with this situation. During the speech, I'll propose you some interactive activity. Then it means that you'll need to be ready to stand up. Then I'll do a test just now. Then when I say go, I just ask you to stand up very quickly and to sit down again. Wait a minute. Okay. Well, then it's a test. We'll use it later, and I see if you are very good students. Okay? Ready? Go. And sit down immediately. Another test, another trial, to be sure that you understood very well. Then stand up and sit down. Wait to go. The go signal, it's important, because you'll have to react very precisely in a few minutes. Then, when I say go, you react and go. Go! Very quick, stand up and sit down. Yes. My speech is about physical activity. Then we are doing physical activity already. It's not usual in such speech. Well, let's go. Up. But why the representation about physical activity? First, a representation is a mental image that someone has about something. For representation about physical activity, it's the mental image that everyone has about physical activity. Why is it so important? Just see here that representations are a determining variable for the behavior change. Please, let's. Maybe you know the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. It's a model used in health behavior promotion, and physical activity belongs to health behavior. And you can see here that at the beginning, the people are in the pre-contemplation state, and they are not aware that physical activity or other health behavior are important. When they become aware, they enter into a cycle that let them go further and further in this change of behavior. You can see that this step is very important. It's a green, because green it's you go. And then why? Because when people are in the street and when you are asking them what is physical activity, when they have wrong representation about physical activity, they are not able to enter in this cycle and, of course, to change their behavior. It's important because PE teacher became, because PE teacher job changed during the years. At the beginning, someone presented that information earlier in this Congress. Before the 17th, we had Swedish gymnastics. It was physical education like gymnastic. It was in Europe, but in many, many countries all around the world. After that, sport and games arrived, and physical education became a little bit sport educators, sport teachers. And it changed again around the 2000 when we changed the century. Why? Because at that time we began to speak more and more about physical education and health education. In some countries, physical education teachers have to teach health education. It's compulsory in their program, in their job. In my country, it's not like this, but I believe that physical education teachers have to work that, maybe only on the physical activity part of health. But it's our job. We are coming from physical activity and we need to share this. Well, not too fast. Well, there are 5 questions to consider about the representation on physical activity. The first one is to know what it is, speaking about definition. The second deals with the impact. What are the physical activities effect? The third is about the recommendation. What to do? It's important. If you want to change something, you need to know what to do. And then the fourth is self-analysis. Do I practice enough? And the last one, always in this representation, determining the behavior change, is the action. How can I do to reach the goal? And there are very important questions that all teachers in physical education should be able to answer in and should be able to explain to his or her students. And we'll do the test. Do you remember? Go! Oh, maybe the half is still awake. Go! It seems that you are not good participant. You need to change your. The definition is when you listen to go, you have to move. Then the second question was, what is the accuracy of the representation in physical education about physical activity? Then, with the support of Barbara, I prepared a questionnaire, and you need to take this sheet of paper that the volunteer gave you at when you enter into the room. Do you have it? Show me, show me. Do you have this sheet? Yes, it's important. Do you have a pen to write on? Yes, sure. Do you have a pen? Okay, because you need both. Well, you know maybe the game Question for Champion. It's a game that you can see on TV. Yes, it's the same here in Brazil. You know it? It's a game when someone is asking a question and the people in the room have to react as soon as possible, you know? And we'll do the same. I'll ask you some questions, but before I would like to ask you to fulfill the document, and I just ask you to describe your age, your gender, precise if you are a student, if you are a professor in physical education, if you are a master teacher, for example, if you are a supervisor, you are going to the field practice in order to see how the students are working, or something else. What your job, your activity, professional activity. And then the last question, personal question that I ask, is about your current level of physical activity. High, oops, moderate, low, and maybe null. Okay, it should be done, it's very easy. Then now, for the first question, I'll ask you to write the proposal that you believe correct. Then I'll propose a question. I propose eight proposals, and you have to select immediately, as soon as possible, the correct question in your mind. It's your representation. For the last question, you'll have to write your own proposal. Okay, it will be easy. It must go very quickly. And then, don't cheat. It's your business. You have your sheet of paper and you write down this. Maybe to be sure, I would like to ask you to write in a column a number from 1 to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 8, 9, 10. But you can do it now. A column on the left side of the sheet of paper, you write the 10 numbers. Okay? It's easy. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 10. Okay? It's done? It's the number of the question. Then you put the proposal that you will select just in front of these numbers. Right? Okay, then we can go. And let's go. Well, I need to read my English here. Then, what is in minutes the minimum duration of one moderate intensity aerobic physical activity that will have a positive effect on health? You have the Portuguese translation there, and you have the proposal 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60, 90. Attention. 3, 2, 1. Go, not go, but you let your pen, your answer is on the sheet, and now we'll try to correct. When I give the number, those who wrote this number had to do the exercise. Up and down. Okay? We try. Everybody understood? Let's see. If you wrote 2, it's now. Good. If you wrote 5, if you wrote 10, if you wrote 15, good. If you wrote 20, if you wrote 30, if you wrote 60, if you wrote 90. Okay, it's to have an idea. Okay, and now we have the correction. If you wrote 10, you put 2 points in front of your answer. If you wrote 5 or 15, you wrote 1 point in front of your answer. If you wrote the order proposal, you write 0. Sorry. Now, it's a test, but it's also teaching. And then I need to explain. 10 minutes in a row is the minimum duration for physical activity to be effective for health. It's in the official recommendation of the WHO, World Health Organization, and in the recommendation of many national or continental recommendations. Then we as physical educators, we have to know this because we need to teach this to our pupils, to our students. And of course, it's important to explain this because it means that it's not so difficult to do physical activity for himself or her health. Next question. At the minimum, how many days per week should one 7 to 18-year-old have a 60-minute period of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity? And you can see the number of days per week, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have to write your answer very quick. Okay? Then, I repeat, at the minimum, how many days per week should one 7 to 17-year-old have to do a 60 minutes period of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity? Okay, we try to correct now. It's the same. Who said 7? Who said 6? It's the same principle. Who said 5? Quick. Who said 4? 3, 2, 1, 0. Hopefully nobody said 0. The answer was 7. Then again, if your answer was 7 in green, you put 2 points in front of your answer. If you answered 6, you put 1 point. And if you select another proposal, you have 0. And then a correction. Oops. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh, I hope that you didn't see the answer. Well, at least 1 hour per day of moderate physical activity for young people. It's far from most of the people say, most of the parents know. And it's important for us physical educators to explain this. And it's important also to know that these information are coming directly from the national and international guidelines. Then it means that physical educators at school, outside the schools, should know this recommendation. And it's important to go further. Okay, third question. How many minutes one teenager will need to walk briskly in order to burn the calories of one Coca-Cola can? Coca-Cola of 330 milliliters. And you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35, 45, and 55. Okay? You have 3 seconds to write your answer. 3, 2, 1, go. Now we are correcting. Who wrote 5, 10, 15, 20, 24, 5, 35, 45, and 55? Oh, you need to stand. Not only you. Well, okay. The answer now is 45. Imagine that when an adolescent, maybe there are parents here, that maybe your students, they drink a can of cola and they need to walk in around 45 minutes in order to leave this. Then he or she burns around 3.2 calories per minute walking at 5 kilometers per hour. It's important to notice and to explain. Also, it could be a very interesting topic for the physical education teachers to explain this. Next question. What should be, in minutes, the longest overall duration of leisure time that one youth spends daily in front of one screen? For example, TV, video games, and so on. Then you have 0, 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, and 210. Okay, you wrote it, and 3, 2, 1, you have your answer. And now, who said 0? 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 3 hours, 210. Okay, you are moving, it's good. The recommendation, international recommendation, proposed 2 hours. 2 hours per day for a child, for an adolescent. Cumulating all screen activities for leisure, it's very few compared to what they are doing. So, it's one movie, it's 2 parts of a TV series and so on. It's also important to know, mainly when we are parents. Next question. How many steps one youth under 18 should accumulate daily? The steps, it's walking. And then you can see the answer there, and I ask you to select your answer. 3, 2, 1, go. Correction. Who proposed 2,000? Who proposed 3,000? Who proposed 4,000? 5,000? 5,000 and half? No, and 500. 10,000, 12,000, and 15,000. And the answer is 12,000 at minimum. And for adults, for example, it's 10,000. 10,000 steps for adults. And for kids, it's at minimum 12,000. And for boys, it could be more, until 15,000. And then you wrote 2 points for green, 1 point for orange, and 0 for the rest. It's important. Then people have to walk as much as possible. And it's also the role of physical educators to share this information with their students. Oops, no. What's this? Okay. Question 6. To what weekly hours, minutes, number of high-intensity physical activity health can be in danger? And then you have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. 3, 2, 1. It's done. You select your answer. Okay. You didn't understand? You didn't understand? Okay, Jen, it's finished? No translation at the moment? So, there is a problem. Oh. Well, the question is there. Then you can read, okay? And then you have a proposal, and then we go, and we have to go on. Then who said 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40? I recall that the question was about intense physical activity, like sport training, okay? And then the correct answer is 20, okay? And then it means that after 20, around 20, there are modifications on hormones and so on, and there are poor consequences of this. Is it okay with the translation? Okay. Next question. Then, what is the minimum number of weekly opportunities during which one youth under 18 should practice activities allowing to maintain muscular strength? And you can have 0 to 7 days. Okay? It's easy. You select your answer. 3, 2, 1, go. Now, who said 7? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition. Starting. The answer was 3. Then it means that you have to carry, jumping, climbing, doing natural exercise at least 3 times, and with, if possible, a period of 10 to 20 minutes. It's strange training, not strange training, but it's using actividade de fortalecimento. Okay, next question. 8. What should be in minutes the longest duration of sitting time that one of you spend in a row? Like you are doing here at the moment, sitting and in a row. Then you have 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, and 120. You have time. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. 50, 30, 35, 60, 75, 90, 105, and 2 hours. The answer was 2 hours in a row. And it means that it's the maximum duration. It means that people needs to move before this, if possible. Then when you are in the classroom, you need to encourage the classroom teacher to organize activities that make the students, the pupils moving. Then break of 10 minutes of physical activity at school or at home. It's cool and healthy. 9th question, how many minutes one teenager should swim in order to burn the calories of a bag of chips of 30 grams? You can choose salt or paprika, it's the same. Then you have the proposal. I swim during 2, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60 minutes. You select 3, 2, 1. Who said 2 minutes? Impossible. Who said 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? And the answer was 30. It's just almost the same number of calories than the Coca can, but when you are swimming, you are burning more calories because you are using your arms, your legs, and also you are in another environment and taking calories. And okay, you have information. Last question is a little bit different. Then I ask you to propose 2 signs that are visible. You can see without touching, without taking an instrument, a tool. You are able to see that someone in front of you is practicing one vigorous physical activity, an intense physical activity. Now I let you 10 seconds in order to write these two signs that you could use to see if someone is doing an intense physical activity. You'll receive 1 point for each correct answer. Very good. Are you ready? Now the answer were breathless and sweetie. And then, yes, someone won. Good. Then you have 1 point for each of these answers. But the more important thing to know here is that finally it's possible for everybody, because the recommendation asks you to do moderate physical activity. And it means also that you don't have necessary to be exhausted when you are doing physical activity for health. What we learned, before this, who had above 15 when you sum the points? Who had above 10? Very good. Very good, very good. Who have 8 or 9? Right. Who have 5, 6 or 7? Right. And then I suppose that the order didn't fulfill the questionnaire or were below. It's not a problem. But be confident. I did this exercise with medical doctor, with physiotherapist, with specialist in health education, with specialist in physical education and sports science. And usually maybe 3 or 4 out of 20 persons have more than 10 out of 20. What do we learn with it? Everybody knows that physical activity is important. We have many information, but things aren't always as they seem. Few are really aware about the objective to reach. And I recall that we are all physical educators. It means that we have to know this because we need to explain this to others. So it's necessary to act now against wrong representation. Physical activity is not only sport. Effectiveness is not necessarily high intensity. We saw that doing moderate physical activity doesn't take time. We cannot practice only during the weekend. And of course, it's not so expensive because we can walk everywhere. Then these wrong representations, they are so common in the people, are nonsense. And we need to fight against these wrong representations. Then P has to be societally encouraged. It means that your pupils, students, can use what you teach them in their life after the bell rang. And they will be able to use what you taught them during their whole life. It's so interesting to teach how to do some balance of a beam in gymnastics. But think about when the young lady will use it in the rest of her life. Maybe physical education could have more interesting activities to teach to our future adults. I would like to ask that this picture should never happen again. And then what can we do? Teacher action. I propose you 5 axes. Be a model. Show that it is possible to adopt an active lifestyle. Some physical education teachers are also athletes. Update one's knowledge. Be curious about physical activity and its promotion. There are many documentation on the web. Create a network, develop collaboration, get support, become a project manager, analyze, plan, implement, coordinate, assess, and behave like a professional. Assume the central role that you had in school. There are new approaches in physical education, teacher education. For example, my friend Katie Armour from the UK proposed a book with pedagogical cases in physical education in the Oxford. She proposed scenarios on which sports science experts, physiologists, biochemists, psychologists are working with one sport pedagogy expert in order to build proposal that could be used by the teacher on the field. To really use what sports science is teaching us. We all made sports science studies to become physical education teacher. How many times do we use all these theoretical information, content, knowledge in our teaching? We could develop some communities of practice working together in order to go further and to implement action research. Research done by practitioners. And this is necessary for pre- and in-service teaching. You'll find some reference here to read about how to do. It's not possible to develop everything here, and I would like to propose a short take-home message. 4 key messages. PE teachers should become the cornerstone of the physical activity promotion at school. They are not coaches. They have to be involved in physical education as well as in the other dimension of the physical activity at school. They have to collaborate. They are not alone. It's not possible to do everything alone. And pre-service and in-service physical education, teacher education has to be adapted to show the way and change the mentalities. You are involved. And then, just for the fun, a quotation. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Just be this person. It's your job now. Obrigado pela vossa atenção. You can see that it's new pictures. And if you want to join me, you have the email address there. And if you have time, and I can give you the URL, the link later, this presentation is online already, and you can download it there. Okay, I can let this for a few minutes. Thank you.
Agradecer ao professor Bratislav Natala e ao professor Mark Klo pelas palestras e comunicar, né, aproveitar o momento, né, para comunicar que, em virtude do nosso tempo, né, para não atrasar toda a agenda do encontro, as perguntas que vocês, caso queiram fazer para os professores durante o intervalo, podem procurar para que ele se responda. E vou passar aqui o certificado ao professor Branislav Antala. E ao professor Marco. Agradecer a fala de vocês e agradecer a todos os participantes. Okay?
Pois bem, senhoras e senhores, apenas retomando e fazendo um novo lembrete, hoje, às 19 horas, ao final do segundo congresso, será oferecido um coquetel a todos os participantes na cobertura do hotel. Essa programação não consta no material de vocês, mas é uma cortesia e, na verdade, uma deferência que se faz a todos que participaram conosco desse evento, que com certeza foi único em Minas e no Brasil. Para coordenar a primeira palestra desta manhã, é convidada a doutora Rosa Lopes D'Amico, que recepcionará e acompanhará à mesa o convidado da manhã, doutor Walter Ou, que tratará do tema Qualidade da Educação Física e Preocupação Mundial, Caminhos Adiante e Desenvolvimento Futuro. Doutora Rosa apresentará o nosso convidado neste momento e trará as regras de condução da mesa e participação da plateia. Com a palavra, a doutora Rosa Lopes D'Amico.
Bom dia. Bom dia.
Bom dia.
¿Prefieren que hable en español o mal portugués? ¿Qué prefieren? Portuñol. Hoy tenemos el placer de abrir al profesor Dr. Walter Kim Yang Ho, que possui graduação em Educação Física pela Edith Cowan University em Austrália, mestrado e doutorado na área de Educação Física pela Universidade de Sydney, na Austrália. Tem como área de especialidade Sociologia do Esporte, Educação Comparada, Desenvolvimento Curricular e Pedagogia do Esporte. Possui 10 anos de experiência como professor de Educação Física em escolas primária e secundária. Atualmente é professor da Faculdade de Educação na University of Macau, China. Presidente da Sociedade Internacional de Educação Física e Esporte Comparado e vice-presidente do ICSP. Sua palestra tem como tema a qualidade da educação física e preocupação mundial, caminhos adiante e desenvolvimento futuro, com duração aproximada de 40 minutos.
Thank you, Rosa. I need to say thank you for the invitation to be here today. I'm being instructed I have to speak slow. In fact, English is not my first language. Chinese is my first language. But before I start, I would like to ask one question to Rosa. How much time can I have? 40 minutes. 40 minutes. Okay, fine. Then I'll try to complete my presentation within these 40 minutes. But before I start my presentations, I want to draw your attention because when I came here, I brought with two things. One is the Journal of the Society, Competitive Society. I live it actually just next to Oswaldo. So there's another one that I bought with. This is actually a little pamphlet to tell you something about the International Society for Comparative PE and Sport. Why I put that? I think after my presentation, you think that my speech is good, please go and pick one. Okay? If you find that my speech is no good, why just leave it there, and I don't know your response. Okay. Fine. So the topic that I'm going to share with you today will be something concerning about the quality of physical education and what's happening right inside. So, okay, thank you. So the paper is not done by me. In fact, it is actually done by a group of people. So I have already the name there. I think I better not to mention everyone. But before my presentation, because I come with some of the people ask me, where is Macau? So this is Macau, all right? Then I hope, this is my city, and this is the university that I come from. So I hope one day that I don't see you here, just see you here. I want to see you there. Right. Okay. Back to the topic. So I chose the topic quality physical education. But before I start, I want you to revisit some of the elements within the word of quality. Quality education, in fact, is a worldwide concern. It's just not a matter of physical education. In fact, it's a matter for all subjects. In China, this word is used widely in year 2000 in a place, another city, actually just next to Macau is Hong Kong. In 1997, they all actually proposed about the work of education to be done in a quality way. UNICEF. And then they have a paper in year 2000 concerning about trying to defining the quality, the work of quality in education. The World Bank in 2014, they put up a report and tell us how important it is. If you are talking about our education is not enough, it necessary to be inequality. So if this is the things that will need to be done, then what are the efforts that actually done for quality physical education? In fact, there are a few works that we need to be paying attention. The first one is quality. When we talk about quality in this paper, we are talking about excellency in life, so in physical education aspect. But when we are talking about the quality in physical education, it refers to the excellency of educational establishment for physical education in curriculum, instruction, assessment, and also the supportive features. But when we talk about the quality of physical education, in fact, it refers to the actions of decisions. Okay. In order to make a planned, progressive, and inclusive learning experiences in the curriculum, and then this such kind of experiences does not happen in primary. It's actually happen from primary secondary education and even to the high school or even to the university level of study. So QPE in this term and as the fundamental or foundation for lifelong engagement with physical activity and sport. And this definition is not quoted by me. In fact, it is actually quoted in the recent publications on quality education guidelines for policymakers in year 2005. So I just said to you, the quality, the work for quality physical education is not actually some like a fireworks. In fact, it had a history. So within this few slide, then I try to let you visit some of these efforts that we have done previously concerning about the development of quality physical education. So, well, if you trace back, I think the first work should be in 1978 when UNESCO proposed the International Charter for Physical Education and Sport. In fact, UNESCO came with a list of work from 1978 to year 2005 concerning about the improvement of quality physical education. The most recent one is the guideline for policymakers. This is the most recent one. Well, UNESCO is not the only organization working on this. In fact, the NASFA, and that is the National Association for Sport and Peace Education, and also the CDC in USA, they are also working quite closely on this matter. So these are the list of materials that they produce. The standard for peace education, and also the curriculum analysis tool, and also the strategy to improve the QPE. Besides that, UN and also ISPA, the association, the council that I'm coming from, also working on some of these elements, like the UN Mechanism declarations and recommendations, the ICSSP position statement, and also the ICSSP International Benchmark for Peace Education System. So, if you take a look at all these methods, and you'll find that, in fact, we have a very rich resources in order to help us to understand about how to develop the quality peace education. On the outer layer, it is the charter and also the position statement. And then in the inner layer, and that is the standard and also the benchmark. And in the middle part, you find out the guidelines and also the strategies and analysis too. So I hope if you take a look at this table, you're not thinking in a table shape. Please think in a pyramid shape. So the base will be this, the second layer comes to this, and this is the final layer. So bear in mind. So if you take a look at these materials, you find that they actually move some what we call the articles of words to actions of works. So these are some of the changes within the last about 30 years concerning about the development of quality peace education. So if you take a look at all these 30 years work, then you find that it comes a very solid and concrete framework and structures to provide rich resources and information to development of QPE. But if you take a look at what we call the recent study concerning from, for example, like Hartman in 2008, he put a comment. He said, although the developmental progress in QPE was surely identified and national government passed the legislation to turn peace education into a compulsory subject, yet there was an observation of slow translation of this legislation into action with proper assurance to protect its quality of delivery. It seems, well, through his observation, he finds the problems. It's because it seems that government are just doing works and lip service, but slow in transforming these elements into action. So, well, because of this, the four associations, FIA, IFAPA, ISPAWIC, and the Competitive Society, decided to launch a project on quality peace education in 2011 in order to learn about what's happening. So here I come with you a little research work to let you know about some of the things that we have done in year 2000 concerning about the study of quality peace education and school sport development. So these are the four associations that we are now working. Okay. We have a three focus to do. I think I better not put too much strings on these. I better go forward. And so we worked out a questionnaires with 34 items on quality peace education and asked the people to give response and how far these statements are true or already done, or how does it look like in your countries. And so these say, sorry. Ooh. I pressed too fast. Okay. So the questionnaires find the base on these documents. So in fact, we try to we read through these documents, and from these documents, we draw the questionnaires. So these are the 24 statements that we asked the people. Okay, come up with about 3/4, and one would be the general viewpoint, and the other would be on educational issues and supporting the issues. So we distributed the third questionnaire to about 25 cities, with 11 in Asia, 7 in Europe, and 5 in Latin Americans. and then come up with about 1,669 questionnaires returned. And so these are all the valid questionnaires. So on the last couple of years, that we actually try to analyze of this data and come up with about 3 papers. And so the conclusions that I draw is actually coming out from these 3 papers. But because these 3 papers are quite lengthy, and then you have a lot of information inside, and they are also now under review. And because of these reasons, that I'm not possible to share with you about the data, but these are some of the summary that I want to share with you concerning about the choice of these 24 items. Then you will see that there are 2 items that are chosen by Asians, European, and Latin American professionals that they are already competing. And so these 2 items are being what we call left out, okay? And then there are a couple of items appeared in Europe or appear in Latin America that they are working or already competed. And so in this case that we come up with this graph. So these 2 items, quality teachers and compulsory subjects, seem to be already well done. And there are a number of items, looks like we're having in a very unstable conditions. And these are the items that identified by the professional with, yes, they are the core problem of QPE. So if I put it in this way, and other 3 layers of structures, it seems that the outer layer are already completed because we have a very good legislative works in order to protect 2 things. One is the training of teachers, and the other is the compulsory physics education in school. And with this, with the help of the Eastern Position Statements and maybe the International Charter, it gives a very good rationale for the QP to establish in schools or in education system. So we come up with another layer, what we call an unstable layer, and what we call a core layer here. Okay, so these are the structures that we find. Well, my immediate conclusion is this study or the data seem to provide similar echo to the comment of Hartman that the items on quality teachers and compulsory study of this were the 2 items achieved in P, but exhibited with unstable concerns to all the items on supportive development, learning, and other educational matters. Then my immediate question is, why was it happening? Why was it happening? So, well, yesterday, like I didn't come to, I spent some of my time in my room in this hotel. I tried to take a look at this matter. And then I decided to draw you to 2 things. And these 2 things are quite interesting to learn. One is concerning about the world response to development of this education. Right, we have the good frameworks. But what will be our response to this framework? What have we done? And I find that most of the country are actually working on what we call a curriculum change. And within this curriculum change, I found a few things. One is, the first thing is to put this education as one of the key learning areas. So right here, I call an example from these works. But in fact, you also find the same kind of structures in Canada, or even in Australia, or even in New Zealand. They try to put, or they propose to put this education as one of the key learning areas. It means that it learns the equal standard like English, Chinese, or even mathematics or science studies. And in some of the states in USA, they put a policy in order to help the school to develop quality education. And then in some of the places like Canada, they try to initiate a little things. And that is they put health and physics education together. So this is the curriculum guide in Ontario. And this is actually the statement proposed by Mexican states on quality physics education. The other change concerning about the instruction. So I just show you two examples to see. One is the examples in Singapore. Because they understand that it's so important for games learning, and that's why they decided to employ some people from Australia in the year of about 1990 to Singapore. And then these people trying to modify the whole system of education, of these educations in the city with games learning or games approach to replace the skill learning approach. Of course, they found the base on TGFU. And then in some of the places, for example, Singapore or Macau, or even Australia, and also maybe in Taiwan, we have a very strong program on what we call the after-school sport program or weekend sport. Okay, so the purpose of these things is to indicate a new initiatives in the development of this education. The third change goes to the health promotion. And then it will be common for countries now, for example, to develop various fitness or health projects. So this one's called the Trim and Feed in Singapore, and this is called the Active Kid 1, 2, 3 in Macau, Yugachi in Austria, and also the Agita in Brazil. So another thing, when they are trying to do this change, and they understand that this is important, and to develop the environment in order to help the students to get moved. So these are some of the actual projects that we have seen by TAPISA. And Health Challenge Day, Walking Day, Active Cities, and of course, it's more important and getting more and more common, and that the education department will conduct experimental works or seed projects in order to build up the environment for change. So if you take a look of these things happening, then you can come up with this kind of map with a very solid foundation as the layouting for the PE as a key learning area, and also develop the policy for quality-based education. And then on the other side, that you have start to make the developments concerning about what we call the second layer of work on the environmental building. Oh, speak slowly, okay. Thank you. The middle layer would be the curriculum change and also the innovative works. So, well, just keep this action plan in mind first. Then I will come back and revisit this action plan later on. So, the last things that I want to share with you will be something on the strategies for improvement. Well, I share with you on all these things. How are they going to develop it? Are there any strategies in the company used by the curriculum designer, or by the teachers, or by the educational profession? I revisited some of the documents, and then I find that there are some of the strategies that are commonly used by these expertise. For example, one of the common strategies is called a small to big, or experiment to concrete. So I call one example for you. This is actually from the CDC, proposed the report on strategies to improve the quality of this education in 2010. It highlights the importance of curriculum, instructions, environment building, and the initiation for reform works in this education. Professionals were encouraged to start with experimental works and adopt appropriate intervention strategies. And so CDC, this is one of the proposals that they did. And they asked the school teachers, or maybe the school head, to think about to develop or adopt a strategy by experiment. And from these experiments, then you start from small to big. The second common strategies that used it would be by phases and priority. I quote another example from the Hong Kong curriculum development works. And in year 2000, the Curriculum Development Institute in Hong Kong launched a reform project called Learning to Learn. And within the document, indicate clearly with charges of progressive steps and gradual change. And so that's why within the report, it highlights carefully how or what we need to do by different steps and focus. And so this is another common charges of change, phases and priority. The third charges that we commonly use is called a multi-dimensional approach. Okay, I found another paper from Singapore. This actually, Malay is a group of people working in Singapore in the Nanyang Technical University. And in year 2000, they write a paper called Moving Towards Quality Physics Education and Physics Education Provision in Singapore. And within the paper, they highlight the use of the UNESCO Charter of Physics Education Sport, which was done in 1978. And within the paper, they talk about the importance of taking different action in solving different constraints. It means that don't go for one method. You have to adopt different methods in order to solve the different problems. And so this is another approach that commonly used, what we call a multi-dimensional approach. The fourth one is called an innovative and practical. For that, I read through a number of documents in Taiwan region. Okay, Taiwan is one of the lovely islands. And about the year of 2000, they proposed what we call the 9 years integrated curriculum. Within this curriculum, they try to put everything together. For example, like math learning and also physics education. For example, like in the course of physics education, can you also do math? In principle, it is. Because if you are trying to teach a student about scoring on badminton, you are actually telling them about subtractions, how to add the marks together. And this is mathematics. And so in this little island, they propose a list of work in order to help the teachers to understand that when you are going to teach any subjects, it also, of course, it improves physics education, that you have to be, or it has to be integrated. The second one will be the one called the total curriculum for the 21st century framework of real character and citizen curriculum in Singapore. And so in this curriculum, they said, well, you cannot separate this is class lesson and this is non-class lessons, but they are putting together. And so in this framework, they try to merge out what we call a complete understanding. And for them, I tell you, the curriculum starts in school at the time that the students' feet step into the school door. And when will be the curriculum end? When the school finish the work, when the feet leave the school door. And so in this case, the whole curriculum goes from the morning, from 8:30, for example, until the end, for example, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Of course, we will find that there will be other works, for example, like the reform in physics education in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and even China. Okay, and what did they do? They put a very heavy emphasis on health education. And in this way, they changed the whole system, input different indicators and guidelines. But if you take a look at how these strategies are working, they are innovative. They try to be innovative and match with what we call the life experiences of the students. And then in another way, it has to be practical. For example, like we are talking about an integrated learning, it has to be practical. When you are teaching like maths, match them together with physics education. In fact, this is what we call a haptosense. So the sixth one will be on the space to learning or extension of opportunities. And then I find that most of the cities or places are now trying to adopt different kind of extension project. We call it extension project because this is something different to a formal curriculum. For example, like the Active Kid 1, 2, 3 in Macau. Okay, right in the past, there is nothing to help the student to get moved. But because we understand obesity rate or the increase of obesity is one of the problems of our next generation. So we have to do something in order to help them. And so for this project, it tries to extend the opportunity of students' activities within the school or after the school. So this is another common project that we usually use. And this kind of concept not just happens here in Macau. It happens in Taiwan, in China, in Europe. And just about an hour before that, Antana told us something about in USA, the Let's Move movement is one of the examples. So I think it's almost the time for me to come to the conclusions, okay? So if you take a look at all these common strategies, okay, they are all the initiations. But if you take a look at these strategies, then you find one common thing behind. And that is, they try to adopt a priority principle to establish all the change. It means that they don't put all the things at once. They go step by steps. And then, well, if you go step by step, I think this is a very logical understanding. But the problem is, why there are still problems coming out? So, in fact, this morning, I finished all my PowerPoint, and then I have all the preparations. But I didn't feel fine for this understanding. So I woke up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, then I start to revisit my slide again. And then indeed, in here, I put 3 examples for you to understand about the strategies and how these things work within the quality physics education. And these 3 examples are the real work of me from the works in 1997, 2002, and even 2008. I tell you, these are the real work of me, and these are also my real experiences. So one will be on the Tai Chi curriculum in Hong Kong, and the other will be the Learning to Learn curriculum reform, and the last one is the Active Kid 1, 2, 3 project. So what's that? I want to go back from here. I tell you what, it's so common for us to input what we call the traditional games in the curriculum, like the Japanese. They will put judo back to the curriculum because they think this is the national game. It has to be learned by all the Japanese. For example, like in Korea, Taekwondo is one of the most famous sport and also the national sport. And so Taekwondo is actually the national curriculum in the syllabus. But in Hong Kong, this is a Chinese space. So what would you think about the national sport? Of course, when I'm working in the Curriculum Development Institute, we thought about Tai Chi. Okay, one of the what we call the national sport that we hope every student know how to do it. So we have a very sound mind. We start, So we start from here. Curriculum change. We start from here, we develop the policy, we think that this is a key learning area, and then we ask every teachers to do it. I tell you what, I have never seen such kind of strong reaction from the teachers and also from schools. Well, I have no idea why. But anyway, the reaction is that, sorry, we don't want to. And so we plan about what we call a 3 years project in order to put Tai Chi back to the school. But I tell you, after 3 years later on, Tai Chi's only become a selected subjects in the school. And I tell you, not more than 5% of the schools are having the curriculum on Tai Chi. So I told my boss, and my boss also told me, sorry, this is not a successful case. I review this example, and then I find that when we are working on the development, we are working on this only. Okay? And then I found that it might be one of the reasons that it is not successful. The second project that I work in is what we call the Learning to Learn curriculum reform. The aim of the project is try to help the student become a self-initiated learner. So it means that I cannot push you to study. I hope that you will pick up your own book and study. So the concept goes in this way. So, well, this project, if I evaluate, it should be a successful case. Because after about 10 years, it was launched in year 2000 and became a formal curriculum for peace education in 2002. 10 years before, 5 years before, and then the Curriculum Development Institute asked me to go and make an evaluation of the project. Try to understand about, and then I find that the curriculum was still used in Hong Kong. So I think about this project. Then I tell you, right in the project, I found we worked very hard for about 4 years in order to develop curriculum. But we work from here first. Okay? We work from here. And then probably you will find out what's the result after 10 years of work. This is an educational development. And then when asked about the student, are you become more healthy? Are you become more fit? Sorry, no. Okay, the third project that I want to share with you will be one of the work that I did in Macau called the Active Kid 123. So in fact, this is a project trying to help our next generation, our young children, to be fit, or at least get to move, okay, at a very young age. So we started a project in year 2008 with a number of activities, like the fitness test, but we don't give them fitness tests. We give them, after the fitness test, we give them a paper to record their change. But we don't give the paper to the student immediately. We give the paper to the parents. Let the parents know about what they are doing. And at the same time, we do a number of works in order to help the student to get moved. For example, like we give the student a pedometer, okay, ask them to walk fast within a day, try to put them in a competitions and see how far they walk and who will reach, for example, like Shanghai or Beijing. Okay, so if you take a look at this project, you find that nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with this. It goes here only. And then we work about, we start from 2008 until 2011, until 2015. And then we are still working on this. And then it starts with 10 schools first, and then come up with, right now we have about 45 schools joining the project. And in 2011, the Education Department decided to ask us, now they want to extend to the secondary school, the high school. And then we make constant check and also evaluation about this other schools. And because of this project, and we found that the schools start to change this as well. So if I take a look at these 3 projects, I can only say to you, the Active Kid 123 seems to be more successful case, rather than the one on high-chief development or even the learning to learn. Because these two projects, although we work for some times, need achieve some certain success, but in certain extent that they are limited. They have nothing to do with these things, or nothing to do with all the change as a whole. So if I conclude, if I'm saying about quality physics education, then I will only say to you, don't just concentrate here. Better start from here. And then be patient. Or maybe this is one of the ways that we can achieve a better quality for physics education in school. So before I close my presentation, I would like to quote the works of early attempt. That one of the work that we did in one of the books concerning about the reform works in physics education. Within these papers, I asked a few questions, and I also want to ask these few questions to you. One is, are we making the right choice? I have no idea how many of you here will become the director of education, but one day you will. Why I say this? I'm old. Your boss will also return old. They will retire. Then who will become the new president in the education department? Who will become the new president of Brazil? You, right? But when you are going to become these important persons, or very important persons, how are you going to make the right choice? Do we make an appropriate investment? Are we just making on something on the top? Or are we going to put what we call this environmental change in order to make the cell change? Or are we just focusing on these small portions and forgetting the others? Are we investing with good strategies and the best dosage in achieving the goal of quality improvement in physics education? Then it needs to answer, not the answer from this presentation. Then I hope that this message will bring to you that when you leave this room, that you think about these things. That one day, when you become the very important persons, then I hope that these few questions will help you to work well in order to produce the best quality of physics educational development in school. So before I end, I want to share with you one of the projects that we are now going to do and what we call the research work on this curriculum guide. This policy guide, because this is the policy guide just published by UNESCO. We want to learn one thing: how far is it been achieved, what are the constraints, and what makes it difficult to implement. Will you join this project? I don't know, because it's still pending. But if you are intended to join the project, no matter where you come from, write to me. This is my email address. Thank you for your listening.
Es siempre una preocupación qué idioma voy a hablar, pero voy a hablar en español. No hay pregunta, no tengo a preguntar, porque el profesor Walter Ho debe irse, tiene su vuelo, su voo a la 1, debe irse al río. Entonces, solo tenemos tiempo para agradecerle por su participación. Si hay interés, pueden enviar a su correo electrónico. Parte de la presentación está publicada también en español con alguna información en la revista colombiana de ese encuentro, que con el profesor Jairo acá pueden también conocer un poco más de ese trabajo. ¿Ok? Entonces, it is my pleasure to give you this certificate and thank you for being in our second Congress. Okay?
Faremos agora uma interrupção para a realização da sessão de pôsteres na sala aqui ao lado da sala Miró, onde acontece simultaneamente o coffee break. Retornamos em 40 minutos.